Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. I have some banger video clips for you all today from Metallicus's very own Frank Mazda, discussing and talking about credit union integration and how Metallicus is at the forefront of this digital transformation and digital finance, digital assets, cryptocurrencies being embedded into the credit union infrastructure. And then we're also going to listen to some video clips from Ashish Burla, the CEO of Evernorth, the digital asset treasury strategy company that invests heavily in XRP to earn yield on their XRP holdings. Ex-Ripple employee, he says some phenomenal things. In light of this most recent market downturn, I feel that it's very necessary to bring back this ideology behind never having to sell our digital assets, understanding that DeFi and digital assets are being integrated into traditional financial systems and infrastructure, and how literally all of the traditional banking system is going to start to use blockchain and DeFi rails. Members are going to be able to earn yield on stablecoins and digital assets directly in banking apps. And this video breakdown is going to show you all that is happening in real time. Before we jump into those video breakdowns, shout out to Mr. Aquaman over on X. He said this in a post, and I could not agree more. We have come too far to let fear stop us now. The total crypto market cap is sitting at just $1.5 to $2 trillion right now. This is obviously, of course, a couple days ago. We dropped down to $1.99 trillion, generational opportunities. And he said the trajectory is crystal clear. $8 to $10 trillion is coming. Nobody knows the exact date, but it is coming. The ones who get in today at these levels, they won't just make money, they'll be legends. The ones who turn patience into generational wealth. Fear is temporary. Missing this moment, that is forever. This is the window. This is your shot. Who is building with me? I really like that comment and gravitate towards that post significantly, because I cannot agree more that now is the opportunity to get in at generational discounts on a whole bunch of layer ones that are going to do astronomical numbers when institutions finally flood back in. In my personal opinion, digital assets like Metallicus ecosystem, Metal, XPR, Loan, XRP, XLM, all these assets that are underperforming now, once real utility kicks in and institutional scaled adoption and these digital asset treasury strategies where these institutions are earning yield on digital assets scales in massively, we're going to see numbers that are unfathomable right now at where we're at these current levels. So with that in mind, considering the recent opportunity that we got to buy XRP at almost $1 again, we dropped into roughly about $1.666. So just shy away a few like little tiny micro pennies of $1, right? That opportunity to me is massive, considering something that was recently said by Ashish Burla and their digital asset strategy approach with digital assets like XRP. Take a second and listen. Shout out to the Talking Tokens podcast for interviewing Ashish Burla over here. Just take a second and listen to how he mentions that regulation is going to be a catalyst that allows for institutions to flood into this digital asset ecosystem.
I really thought that this place was, back in 2013, I thought maybe 3-4 years.
Yeah, it will be good by 2017.
Will be good by then.
Yeah.
And I'll say it's taken a lot longer, but I think it's moving in a faster pace now than I had envisioned, back in 2013. And I think a couple of things. Number one, financial institutions are now leaning in, which is very different than it was in 2013. Mm-hmm. I think secondly, like governments are now embracing. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I got wrong. I didn't think that you needed all the regulation back in 2013 to make this happen. Yeah. But now it's quite evident that that's going to really be a catalyst and accelerant to mm-hmm. blockchain adoption.
It's very clear that regulatory clarity is going to be a catalyst to accelerate adoption. Now, there's a lot of skepticism surrounding RLUSD and that Ripple doesn't need XRP anymore. And I really enjoy that here Ashish Burla clears the air on that skepticism. Take a second and listen.
Under the surface of blockchain activity. And at the end of June, the team published a report on RLUSD and XRP. Kind of give us a high level breakdown of what your team found here for those of us who haven't seen it yet. I saw it, but listeners.
Yeah, so, that's something that we've been working on for a while. And the question was, hey, do stablecoins you replace the need for digital assets or XRP? And, I think that the data shows clearly that when you brought more stablecoins onto XRP, that created more economic activity on XRP itself. And one reason for that is global liquidity today outside of blockchain, if you look at equities, if you look at gold, if you look at FX, which is foreign exchange, it's all based predominantly as US dollar as the base pair. So like if you want to have a good liquidity venue on XRP or on any other chain, you need a robust stablecoin to trade against. So that's paramount. That's how the traditional markets work, and that's how crypto markets work. And the data suggests that since RLUSD has been scaling, you've seen growth in liquidity on XRP as well. And 12% now of all trades are going through RLUSD. It was 1% several months ago. So you're seeing that happen in real time on chain. So you bring a solid stablecoin on chain, and it creates more liquidity. And why is liquidity important? Because like if you don't have liquidity around these tokens, you're sort of like left waiting for your Uber forever, right? Yeah. You want to create a good experience, and creating more liquidity around your token is super important for good experience on blockchains.
Yeah.
So in general, he's saying that RLUSD actually helps support the growth of XRP and the XRP ledger. So I thought that was phenomenal to hear. Before we roll over into the Metallicus ecosystem and listen to what Frank Mazda said, this falls in line with what the Metallicus ecosystem offers for XRP holders, which is the ability to lend out our digital assets on a compliant and regulated DeFi protocol, i.e. the loan protocol, earn some passive yield while never having to sell our XRP and being able to take a loan out against it into stablecoins and facilitate those stablecoins either back into the digital asset ecosystem and DeFi other primitives, or just use those to pay ourselves or take profit or put it into other investment venues, so on and so forth. But again, this notion of never having to sell your digital assets, lending them out and borrowing against them, Ashish Burla here from Evernorth has this same exact mentality and approach. Take a second and listen.
It's proven that it's super. Everyone right now, it seems so excited about being the issuer of stablecoins or the issuer of like these new tokens. What I'm more interested in, and what I think is going to be a bigger business, is doing something with those tokenized assets. How do you price lending against those tokenized assets? How do you enable use cases that you couldn't use before or achieve before blockchain? One example of that is if you want to buy a house today, you got to put up US dollars as collateral. But what happens if you have a lot of stock? You can't today put that up as collateral.
You have to take it out, yeah.
You got to sell it. You got to get US dollars. You got to put that down as deposits. Well, in a tokenized world, I can actually post my tokenized stock into a lending protocol and get a US dollar loan back. Could be for a house, but could be for a number of other things, a car loan or whatever I need. And guess what? If like the collateral metrics change, I can real time balance and post more with AI and a smart contract.
We right now have the ability to post our XRP as collateral, borrow against it in stablecoins. And if we wanted to go buy a house with our XRP by lending it out, borrowing stablecoins against it, never having to sell our XRP, and we can still go buy that house. We can then tokenize that house, rent it out for passive income, make passive income off of that rental property, and then pay our loan back and get our original XRP deposit back, which is so insane. And I want to show you all that right now, these credit unions are in the process of working with Metallicus to integrate these technologies into their digital banking infrastructure. Don't take that from me. Take that from Metallicus themselves. So they put this out just the other day. This is directly from the Metallicus website, and this goes hand in hand with something that Frank Mazda said. 2 video clips I want to play for you back to back, and then we'll get off of today's video. But this is a direct quote from Marshall Hayner, where he says, "Banks and credit unions do not need another isolated crypto product. They need compliant infrastructure that connects stablecoins, custody wallets, payments, lending, swaps, and blockchain rails into a system they can actually evaluate and deploy." That is what Metallicus is building. And if we come over here, this was such a phenomenal podcast that just dropped 2 days ago from the FinTech Combine, Why Credit Unions Are Betting Big on Stablecoins, featuring Metallicus's very own Frank Mazda. So listen to what Frank says.
What does the compliance aspects look like? So we launched this pilot program about a year ago, driven around stablecoins, really where it gives members the ability to kind of touch it, feel it, see it, hands-on experience with our technology, completely risk-free, using monopoly-style money to really be able to explore the stablecoins for their credit union. Where we've seen that kind of position today, which is the most exciting, is we've seen, okay, credit unions are still learning, understanding what this means, how they use it. but what can they do now? Like, what can we do? We know that there's still a window that we're waiting for, whether that's from the NCUA, whether there's some guidance from the Clarity Act, from the PPSI licensing, that's going to be a requirement. So what can we do as an organization that credit unions say today? And that's what's exciting, because we have MetalPay. And that's the product that's been around. Metallicus is currently in the process of integrating to allow credit unions to have that digital banking experience built directly into their consumer app. So we're connecting to the big digital banking providers to be able to allow their members to buy and sell digital assets. But where that's even more valuable is this really preps them for the next step. And I think that's what's exciting, because when you think about, okay, well, stablecoin is going to be launched, and we're, ABC Credit Union, and we want to launch our own stablecoin. Where does it sit, right? Where is that going to be? How's my members going to use it? That's that wallet infrastructure that Metallicus has built that allows it to sit directly into their banking experience, whether that's masked as a digital dollar, or whether that's going to be displayed as a stable coin for the credit union's dollar. It's all going to sit within that foundation. And that's what's really cool, is that we can do something today that is also providing great value today, but also going to be available to kind of help you in the future when stablecoins really start to kick off the market.
So, couple of things that he said, right? Metallicus has built wallet infrastructure that allows credit unions stablecoins to sit directly into their banking experience. And then he also mentioned that we are still in this window waiting for regulation. Remember what Ashish Burla said, that when regulatory clarity comes, it's going to accelerate institutional adoption. Well, imagine taking what Frank Mazda just said, that we are still in this window waiting for regulation. Well, imagine what the market looks like when that window closes, you guys and gals. It is going to be insane to be able to say that we got in before the financial institutions, which for the first time in any market, creation's history, has never been available as an opportunity to retail investors. Institutions have always front run retail. Retail has now the ability to front run institutions, because we don't have to abide by all the regulatory restrictions to adopt these digital assets in our portfolios right now. Not financial advice. Now, let me show you all that wallet infrastructure, WebAuth wallets, having the ability to, launch stable coins, so on and so forth. The ability that Metallicus is building for these credit unions is happening in a test environment right now in real time, which just goes to show, in my personal opinion, that Metallicus and their ecosystem is one of the most undervalued ecosystems in all of crypto right now. All right. Don't take that from me. Just go do your own personal research. I'm not trying to show you guys the Metallicus ecosystem. Diversify into it or don't. Doesn't benefit me if you do. I'm just here to show you guys that they are working at the forefront of this digital asset adoption curve embedded into credit union infrastructure. Take a second and listen to what Frank Mazda says here about how these credit unions can come and adopt the WebAuth wallet technology right now in their digital banking apps.
No, it's the webinar, it's the 101, really to understand what it is. And I think just the thing to know, like, you have your industry experts in the organizations and the credit unions that are pretty well versed. But where it becomes a challenge is that you can have a CTO or CIO or even your chief digital officer, which typically are the ones that know a lot more in the space and are comfortable and are using technologies. But because they know it doesn't mean that the board is ready to make that jump. So being able to make sure that they're getting the education is really important in this process, and really being able to explain how it works. And what's really great about Metallicus is we give them a tool that they can actually use. Say, hey, you know what? You don't understand it yet? Cool. Download MetalPay. Go use the MetalPay app. Make some transactions. Understand what the flow looks like. Guess what? You don't want to use your own real demo like this? We give you access to the sandbox, the pilot, where we give you access to our WebAuth wallet that has a sandbox environment that you can test stablecoins, you can test other forms of digital assets. So this is the really cool thing, is that we give the credit union every opportunity to really be able to learn, and then not just educate, the credit, but everyone below that as well as their members.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is huge confirmation that right now, as the average retail investor, the same technology that they are giving to credit unions when they don't know things or when they want to dip their toes into this space, the ability to test MetalPay, WebAuth wallet, we as retail investors can play around with the same technology, which is absolutely an insane opportunity, a massive generational opportunity, because once one of these credit unions, which they are adopting this technology, look at St. Cloud and how they launched their stablecoin through the Metallicus ecosystem, so on and so forth, right? Metallicus as a partner. When 50 to 100 credit unions are doing this, and then we see a wave of institutional FOMO, Imagine not being on the opposite end of that FOMO. Many blessings to you guys. Remember, none of this is financial advice. We talked about loan, XPR, metal, XRP in this particular video breakdown. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and add any of those digital assets to your portfolio. Be cognizant, be aware out there. Do us that favor. If you enjoyed, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the platform, and we will see you all in the next video breakdown.